This happened a couple years back during the whole killer clown craze. A few clowns on Twitter threatened to come to our school at 11 a.m. and kill us. The school picked up on this and sent out emails to parents and planned a lockdown at 10:30. Sitting in history class, I heard the familiar sound of a lockdown alarm. The teacher rushed to the windows and door, locking and closing them. To be honest, I wasn't that worried. I thought it was just another blank threat online, and nothing would happen, and my day would just go back to normal, but there's still an excitement to a lockdown. After 40 minutes of silence, sitting on the cold floor in the corner of the room, the emergency green flashing light turned off, and the air conditioning slowly felt silent, and the hallway lights switched off. The school had cut the power. Why? Me and my classmates were all confused and were staring at each other. We all knew that something real was going on. After 10 minutes or so, we could all hear a faint banging noise from down the corridor, shortly followed by heavy and fast footsteps. Someone was running down the hallway. They started banging on the lockers and screamed, "I'll kill you all, just die." A few girls started to cry. Then, the most terrifying thing ever happened. One of the men, dressed as a clown, ran up to my classroom door and started banging and screaming. Multiple people were crying at this point. One of my friends whispered to me, "Are we all going to die?" "I don't want to die." I started crying. The man swiftly moved away from our door, and the scream slowly faded down the corridor. After another 2 hours, the principal came on the loudspeakers, surprisingly, and explained everything. He said that just after 11, 2 men walked into the school, one holding a kitchen knife and a camera. They ran around the school, threatening to kill students, and once police raided the school, only one was caught. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The school got over 20 buses to take the younger kids home, and the kids 9th grade and over like me were told to walk home in groups and call the cops if we saw anything suspicious. I had a hard week at school, thinking that the second man would return with a gun or something, but nothing ever happened. This, nonetheless, will always be scarred into my mind forever. I'll start off by saying that I always got a creepy feeling being in my school after hours. I didn't have to stay often, but my mom was a secretary for the school at the time and worked 2 hours past closing. I didn't have a car, so I had to stay and wait for her to finish her paperwork before going home every day. Usually, it was quite boring, and I would just go into my classroom and do my homework. But this day was different and confirmed my worst fear. First of all, my mom had asked me to do her after-hours job, which was just filling out paperwork and filling out various documents. I rarely get asked to do favors, so I complied. I sat in her desk chair and got to work as soon as my last class ended, but I wanted to get home as fast as possible. I just always got the creeps being in that place at night. I wanted to finish before it got super dark out. I sat there for probably 4 hours. The paperwork didn't seem to end. By the time I finished, I didn't even realize it had become pitch black outside. I checked the clock above the desk, which said it was 9:32. I couldn't believe it. I gathered my backpack and headed down the stairs to the bottom floor. As I stepped down to the first landing, I could see there was an orange glow shining through the windows and the doors to the bottom floor. I opened the doors with caution and realized it was simply the glow from the fire detector. I was psyching myself out. I walked down the hallway to exit through the main entrance to the outside. As I reached for the handle, I realized I had forgotten the keys and the entrance was locked. When I turned around to head back upstairs, there was a boy standing in front of the doorway to the stairs. I squinted to get my eyes to focus on him more. He was transparent almost. He looked like he was composed of ash, like the black smoke you would see from a campfire. He let out a giggle and went through the doors to the stairway. I didn't know what the hell to do. I had to get the keys to leave the school, but I knew that I also had to go through the door the boy went through in order to get them. I decided to suck up my fear and go up the stairs. While walking up, a sense of dread fell over me. I knew that there was something really wrong with what was going on. I went through the door to the second floor where the receptionist's desk was. As I grabbed the keys, I felt something grab my ankle. It was a child. He was crouched under the desk, frowning. He looked genuinely concerned. As I opened my mouth to let out a scream, he raised his other hand up to his mouth and put his finger up. "Shh," he said, and then pointed above the desk. As I looked up, I saw what he was afraid of. There was a hooded figure standing right in front of the desk, looking straight at me. All I could see was the glow from his eyes, which were bright red. His face moved in a weird way. His head slowly moved forward from the inside of the cloak, showing his face. He was grinning so widely, with sharp, almost needle-like teeth. I don't really remember what happened next, but I remember running faster than I've ever ran in my life. As I got to the steps, I literally jumped down. It hurt my leg, but I managed to keep running, pure adrenaline rushing through my body. When I got to the door to the entrance, I struggled finding the right key to unlock the door. I could hear the floor to the stairs slam open. I flipped through the keys even faster. Finally, I found the right one. I quickly opened the door and closed it behind me. I could hear the thing crash into the door, but it was too late. I had already locked it. I don't know what that thing was that day, and I don't want to find out. When I was in 8th grade, it was a normal day in my math class. My teacher would usually give us a problem to be in class with, but instead, today, he introduced the new girl. Her name was Julia. She was about 5'5" and was quite pretty, but looked very shy and nervous. There was an open seat next to me, and my teacher told her to sit there. The problem the teacher gave us was simple algebra, which I was quite good at, but Julia was struggling with it. I was kind of a nice guy at the time, so I helped her, and after about 5 to 10 minutes of tutoring her, she finally began to understand. She finished the problem and smiled and said thanks. She was very nice throughout the year until I learned she had a crush on me. That's when it got strange. She began to follow me and stare at me, and as a boy, I never thought I would ever be stalked. I thought nothing of it, and probably said something stupid to my friends like, "Ladies want me" or something. Until one night, I was home alone, and I was getting out of the shower, and I walked into my room and put my clothes on until my dog Bernie began to look at me strangely. Like not how dogs look when they are worried, but my dog was frightened. Something told me to look outside, and I did. And there she was, Julia, standing outside and staring into my window. This was at around 7:59. I knew this because the streetlights outside turned off at 8. I looked at her, then looked at the clock and watched it turn to 8, and I looked out again. It was dark out, and Julia was gone. Moments later, my doorbell rang, and then it rang again, and again, and again, until I went downstairs and heard footsteps, and I looked out my front door window, and Julia was gone. I haven't seen her since, and I hope I never do. I would later find out that she had some mental issues. I hope she finds the help she needs. It's been 11 years, and I still think about that day.